we can press down and forwards and then raise and back, so you can pulse and just do that really slowly. So it's more a very tiny movement, and it's kind of a feeling inside the body rather than an actual movement that you're making. At the same time, you want to be feeling like you're pressing into the floor, like into the rear foot, then lifting up, down. But again, at any point you should be able to just lift the front. Kind of what I was going to talk about a little bit was kind of what we've been doing today is that quite often we will go through some quite advanced stuff. Well, not advanced, but you know, a little bit higher than normal. So we've been working on animals for a while. So I've been working on bear eagle, and especially so tonight we looked at eagle P, this movement from eagle. It's an eagle movement, and it's kind of a combination between Bung Chuan and P. But it was the P element that we were kind of looking at. So what we were doing was we were breaking that down and going back to the 5 elements and going back to the body movement, the dragon body, and then talking about the principles and the theory behind that. So we were talking about the internal harmonies of like the Shin and the Yi and the Qi, and how the Qi flow moves, and how we're getting Jin, the force generation, through that kind of changing flow of energy, and how the movement of the body facilitates that, and how we need to be relaxed but have structure. So we're going back to all these first principles that you need to be aware of to be able to do these things correctly. So it's not just about learning movements and being able to run through them. You also need to have that foundation of all those things that maybe sometimes, you know, I think they are actually quite advanced. If you want to get them right, you need to go into them very deeply, but they appear to be quite basic to begin with. So all these things like building up your structure comes from like your Santi Shi and Zhang Zhuan kind of practices. But all of this, you need this to carry on into the rest of your Xing Yi. You need to understand your Qi Shi, because this tells you about all the different ways you can start to create Jin, or the ways we describe to create Jin, the force generation. So you need to kind of know the Qi Shi, the very first thing that we teach people, so that you know what we're talking about when I say, like, when we're doing this combination of Bung Chuan and Pi Chuan, or should I say Bung Jin and Pi Jin. So we get this, like, rather than just a push or a press with nothing in there, we get the actual Jin coming out of it. But that's, you know, we're using all these different things. I'm using the dragon body that's going to drive this. I'm using the whole body coordination, linking everything up so everything moves and finishes at the same time. My mass is moving at the same time. I need to be confident in my footwork. I need to be able to reel the body so I've got continuous movement. I need to understand how I'm going to move that energy, how the intention's working. I've got to have some kind of clearness in my mind so that I know what I'm doing as well. So what I'm kind of getting at is that before we can go on to animals, I mean, we can throw people straight into animals straight away and we can start teaching all this in between, but at some point we need to sit back and separate out as well. And you've got to develop these fundamental skills. You've got to go through your Jibengong, your fundamental exercises, your foundation exercises. You've got to have some focus on that to improve those skills that will then make your Xing Yi become Xing Yi, and not just some movements that are just linked together or you copy. Because we're not in the kind of business of forms collecting. We're in the business of actually trying to do martial arts as they are supposed to be practiced. So moral of this lesson today is don't forget your basics down into it. And then when we start moving, it's just we move the mass and we're back into our light kind of movement. But when we stop, it's like we're stuck and when we move, it's like we glide. All the time we want to feel almost like we're compact. So we've got this tiger embrace here, and then everything's within that. So you know, sometimes you might feel, or you might see people who do these kind of very long stances. We tend to favor shorter, more compact stances. So when we actually start using this stuff, it means our movements tend to be quite short. Which is when I was saying about chicken, you know, in the link, sometimes you see this like boom, 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 big movement, but when you use it for real, it's more like very short. Yeah, like